Things are gonna get crazy.
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey, do le la la de la la de la la de la la. You and I, we are one of a kind, keeping time every time. Woo! Welcome everyone to a new episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing today? I know that I am exhilarated, especially after watching Vivo, and I guess this could be a little bit spoilers of my review, but I will say that at the very least, I definitely do enjoy the songs, if you could pretty much tell from a little bit before, but man, we got one heck of an episode for you today. A lot of major stories to go and cover, and even a lot of controversies that we will get into. But before we go and start this episode off, there is something that I wanted to just go and get off my chest. And this is something that I owe you guys a little bit of an explanation and just something to clear the way. I know technically this is just like opening up an old can of worms from before, but I just wanted to give all that a bit of a proper conclusion. And that is regarding a few months ago or earlier this year when I've made certain comments regarding the YouTuber Shafrillas. And let's be honest, that did not really go well. Not necessarily my opinion per se, but more rather my approach to it that, yes, it is true that I was very harsh of it. And honestly, I did reflect upon it a little bit afterwards, after that episode. And yeah, you know what? You guys are ultimately right on that one, or especially in terms of the backlash that I did receive, where yes, it is true where my reaction to it, well, it was, well, in lack of a better term, it was pretty petty. So I will admit that. And I was wrong to really go after Shafrillas like really hard on that. I mean, it's not like he did anything that was like too serious or that merited that form of backlash from me. Like he wasn't showing support of someone like Donald Trump. He wasn't, pushing any form of nationalist agenda. He wasn't spreading misinformation about wearing masks or getting the vaccine, much like what Mr. Enter is doing nowadays. He's not doing anything like that. He's not spreading like some kind of like bigoted agenda either, like hating on feminism or on people of color or on anything like that. I don't necessarily agree with all of his opinions, especially that I do feel like he may be going a bit harsh on like the Disney animation movies and especially with Frozen. But especially the way that I approached that was definitely not merited, and I do apologize for my behavior. And I did actually talk with James about that as well. Like we actually did talk, and I was very much open with him, and I did apologize to him as well about that moment. And I just thought I would go and mention that right now, because I owe you guys as well an apology, or at least on the platform that I did express those opinions. So I just thought that I just wanted to clear that out and to be transparent and open with you guys, to give a bit of that, to give a bit of a conclusion for that little moment right there, that we're all good and that everything should be fine. And also, I just want to add, please go and watch right now Shafrilla's new video, where it's a feature-length video, of course, but where he would go in depth about why his favorite Disney character is Tamatoa, where there are tons of cameos. And yes, I was actually one of them, and he approached me to do that little cameo. So just thought I would go and mention that as well. So hopefully we could all be cool with that little situation. And again, just want to be open with you guys, and just want to mention, like, no hard feelings, especially because I am aware that a lot of you are also fans of Schifferles as well. And I mean, if you guys are fans of him, that's awesome. That's definitely cool. So, and I will add, James is actually a pretty chill guy. He's actually pretty cool in real life. So at least with the little interaction that I've had with him, he's pretty cool. I will say he's a nice guy. All right. So now, with all that said, now that I got all that out of the way, now that we are all fine with it, and now, what about the episode itself? We are here for a podcast after all. So, Chapel, I would like to know, are you all ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Are we ready for this? Let's see now. Are we prepared? Let's see. Yep. Okay. Yep. All right. Good. That is great. So now, with all that said and done, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And starting things off, by the way, I just want to go and give you all a little bit of a warning regarding the first couple of stories, because yes, we are about to get into some controversial stories, or at least the kind of stories that, well, they do feature some opinions where some people feel really heated up about. It's the kind of where, like, yeah, it can be a little bit of a fire in there, and yeah, we will be getting into that fire. So if you're not comfortable with any of the major controversial type of stories, then maybe this episode might not be for you, or at least for the first couple of stories. So I just want to go and put up that disclaimer right there. Okay, so now with that said, let's go and begin with our first story that we have. And the first big controversy is actually regarding Gonzo-rella. Now, this is probably something you guys have heard a little while, that there is this episode of Muppet Babies that teaches kids about acceptance in terms of gender identity. Now, this is the episode Gonzo-rella, where yes, it is an adaptation of Cinderella, of course. And this time around, it's actually Gonzo who is the starring role. He's actually the Cinderella of this little story. And basically the whole plot line is that Miss Piggy and the new penguin character in the show, Summer, what they wanted to do is have a royal ball. They want to have this medieval themed ball that they want to try to do, where the boys would be dressed up as knights and the girls would be dressed up as princesses with the pretty little dress. Gonzo, on the other hand, he really liked those dresses and he wanted to go and wear a dress for the ball. But as you could probably imagine with that Cinderella story, Miss Piggy and Summer, at first they said, no, you should dress up as a knight because you're a boy, which broke Gonzo's heart, which then came the fairy godmother of our story, which in this case is actually Rizzo. And I believe they do have the name here. Yes. Rizzo, the fairy rat father. This is a name, by the way, that I had to make sure I have to get it right, because you could just glance over it and just say, like, yeah, it's Rizzo, the fairy fat rather. But yes, Rizzo comes in to be the fairy rat father. And he decided he went to go and transform Gonzo into Gonzo-rella with a pretty mask, a pretty dress, and of course, glass slippers. And it was only for a limited time, though, and it wasn't until at the end when all the characters in the show, they would try to go and find this mysterious princess that they thought, like, that she stole the show and she was amazing, but it turns out it was actually their friend Gonzo all along. And I do have a little clip of the conclusion. It was actually very sweet. This is from Twitter on the Twitter page of Muppet History, and they actually do have. By the way, just want to double check if do I have it set up correctly? Oop, not yet. Hold on a sec. There we go. Okay, so just want to make sure that you guys can hear it as well. So here's a little clip of the conclusion of this episode.
Dear you are. You missed our royal ball.
We met the most amazing princess, but they ran away, and all they left behind was this.
Everyone, there's something I need to tell you. The princess who came to your ball tonight was me. I'm Gonzo-rella.
But Gonzo, why didn't Vu tell us?
Because you all expected me to look a certain way. I don't want you to be upset with me, but I don't want to do things just because that's the way they've always been done either. I want to be me.
Oh, Gonzo, we're sorry. It wasn't very nice of us to tell you what to wear to our ball.
You're our friend, and we love you any way you are.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah.
That was a very sweet moment. So, like I said before, this was an episode about acceptance, especially regarding gender identity, and it also teaches boys to not be afraid to be in touch with their feminine side. If guys want to go and dress up as princesses, they want to wear a dress, then that's perfectly fine. Well, that is fine until the far right group comes in, and they would go and completely crash the party. And this is where the backlash would come in, where certain conservative groups would go and completely attack this Muppet Babies episode, and they would go and accuse this of trying to spread a trans agenda, per se. In fact, one of the most notorious conservative personalities, Candace Owens, actually made, here she is, where she actually made a comment regarding this episode, and she posted on Twitter where she states, by the way, I'm reading my source here on the wrap. I can't believe I'm tweeting this, but they are pushing the trans agenda on children via Muppet Babies. This is sick and perverted. Everyone should be disgusted by predatory cartoons meant to usher children into gender dysphoria, and even concluded that tweet by saying, bring back manly Muppets, anyone. Now, is that actually the case? Is Disney actually trying to push a trans agenda onto children? Well, no, that's not really the truth, because there is an explanation into the origins of how that actually happened, and that's actually from Tom Warburton, the executive producer of Muppet Babies, in which he told D23, reading from my source here on Animation Magazine, as it states, very early on, we wanted to do an episode where Gonzo just shows up to the playroom wearing a skirt, and it was like no big deal. No one cared or questioned it because Gonzo was always 200% Gonzo, 347% at a time. But then story editor and co-producer Robin Brown and her team wanted to take it a step further and do a Cinderella story based on the idea. And it was just so wonderfully Gonzo. We hope he inspires kids watching to be 347% of themselves in their own way too. So that's basically the truth behind what is this episode, of like why this episode was even made in the first place. That it came up as a little bit of an idea for Gonzo to wear a skirt, and then like really expanded. Why not just have Gonzo be like a full-on Cinderella type character? And of course, you guys know me. You know that I am a major Jim Henson fan, and I am a huge Muppet fan as well. And in the case of Gonzo, I would say that among all the Muppets out there, the ones that are not like the noticeably female Muppets, Gonzo would totally be the one that would most likely go and wear a dress. In fact, this moment right here, this is not the first time that Gonzo would actually wear a dress, because animator Dan Romans on Twitter, he actually made a very good explanation about the context of Gonzo's history, where, yeah, this is not the first time that he would go around and wear a dress in the Muppets. Like, even during the time when Jim Henson was alive, he actually stated, fun fact, Gonzo has been wearing dresses since 1975. The episode had nothing to do with gender dysmorphia. The episode meaning the Muppet Babies episode that everybody's talking about. Jim Henson hired many members of the LGBT community. The most prominent, Richard Hunt, was the performer of Scooter, Janice Statler, Junior Gorg, and many, many more. And here are many of the examples with Gonzo wearing a dress. Like, this is directly from The Muppet Show. This one is more of a promo where even Fozzie like got in drags a little bit. So we got that one, and Gonzo is just taking center stage, being fabulous and not giving a crap about it. Well, not giving a crap, I mean like not caring what others think. Here's Gonzo, technically in a dress, reenacting a famous painting. And then finally, we also got this one where, yeah, like, this is undeniable. Like, there's no other character that this is. This is Gonzo full on wearing a dress. And the thing is, the reason why this is so not out of place for Gonzo is because Gonzo is the one that would go and do the craziest things. He's the one that would be considered the artiste, and he would go and make these outlandish and over-the-top style of performance art during the Muppet Show, where he would do all these crazy things. And even during his downtime, he would go and do crazy stuff as well. I mean, this is the guy who is in a loving relationship with a literal chicken. Like, I don't mean someone who is a coward. I mean, like, a literal, actual baka chicken. And he's in love with it, and probably went all around the baseball field with that chicken in particular. And here's the funny thing. I know there is the whole context of Muppets from Space and stuff like that, but let's be honest. Most people don't actually know the species of Gonzo. Why the fridge do we have to go and immediately question the gender of Gonzo? So I think, honestly, the question about Gonzo's identity in terms of his gender, first of all, try to go and answer me, what is he in terms of a species? And then maybe we could go and, like, continue the conversation from there. I am just saying. And especially, so yeah, like, obviously, in terms of the history of the Muppets, really the attacks are very much unwarranted, and, well, I guess there's no other way to say it, but they're very much transphobic. And not to mention that technically, what the Muppet Babies are doing with this episode in particular, like, this technically still continues the tradition of the philosophy of Jim Henson. If you guys don't know Jim Henson, he's one of the most inclusive and loving people that ever worked in the entertainment industry, especially with shows like Fraggle Rock and Sesame Street. He made it a proud tradition where for decades, he would go and teach kids and adults all around the world about inclusion, about togetherness, about how great diversity can be, and about protecting the environment, and many, many more. And I know some people may say that is a little bit ill will of speaking for the dead and stuff like that, but I would know for a fact that if Jim Henson were alive today, he would definitely say that trans rights are human rights, that he would definitely be a strong supporter of the trans community and the LGBTQ plus community as well. So this episode over here is not out of place in terms of the traditions and the moral values that Jim Henson has been teaching all across his shows and even all across his movies. In fact, like, outside of the idiotic transphobes out there, like, this is actually very much praise. In terms of the people with actual common sense, when they would watch the episode, a lot of them would actually say that not only is it a great episode, but it might even be one of the best episodes of Muppet Babies, especially when tackling an issue that a lot of TV shows and especially movies today would be a little bit too scared to go and talk about, especially towards kids. So, like, it really did push the envelope for the sake of education and teaching kids about inclusion. And I definitely do agree. It is absolutely a very wholehearted episode, very sweet, even funny at times. I'll give it that. So it is a very charming episode, and it stays true to the traditions of Jim Henson. Now, going back into the conservative response, the transphobes really going after it, especially Candace Owens, like, I just need to say this about this woman. Like, there is no other person out there that is much more of a grifter than Candace Owens. Like, both liberals and conservatives know very well that in terms of her beliefs, all the things that she would go and say, she does not believe a single peace whatsoever. The only reason why the far right would go and listen to her is because it's trying to go and make an excuse for themselves to say that they're not racist while still maintaining their racist beliefs. For those people, like, because especially with Candace Owens, she is a strong, openly supportive person in terms of nationalism, and especially even white nationalism and a little bit of white supremacy viewpoints as well. Like, she is more in favor of those ideologies than being against them. That's why for many conservatives, they just listen to Candace Owens because it's a way for them to not be racist without not being racist at the same time, because she still technically counts as a black woman, but because she's a black woman explaining white supremacist values, it makes those people believe that they are not racist. But the truth is, she doesn't believe in the bullcrap she says. She's only doing it for profit. She's only doing it for attention. And if it's not for that, if it's because she unironically believes in the things that she actually says, then I gotta say that honestly, she has some kind of mental disability, or she has some kind of very serious issue where she doesn't know when to stop in terms of taking her beliefs to the extreme. Because I could actually say that what Candace Owens has, it's not really conservative values. She has full-on neo-Nazi values. She is a full-on far-right extremist to that level. And I know some people might be thinking that this is a hyperbole, but that is actually not the case, because believe it or not, Candace Owens legitimately has a history of actually being on the side of Hitler. That she actually vocally supports a lot of Nazi ideologies, and even stated that she was fine with what Hitler would do during World War II in terms of his reign in Germany. And if you don't believe that, let's go back in time a little bit to February of 2019, where she was having a little bit of a conversation in a conservative group, and she was talking about nationalism and pretty much that little explanation of how nationalism is superior than globalism and all that kind of stupid crap. But listen to this part little here, where she would talk a bit about Hitler. And she mentioned that technically the reason why Hitler failed during World War II was because he had big plans to take over the world. But when it comes to just taking over Germany, on the other hand,
because Hitler, he was a National Socialist. At least in America, as Hitler, he was a National Socialist.
Yeah, just to go and quickly correct that, no, Hitler is a full-blown nationalist. Even in terms of National Socialist and stuff like that, that is not the same definition as socialism as it is today, just to go and make a big clarification.
But if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine.
Let's hear that again. Just that little part.
Okay, fine. But if Hitler, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine.
So she's pretty much saying, to repeat what she said, if Hitler wanted to make Germany great and work things out just in there, then that would be fine in terms of Candace Owens. In terms of killing millions of Jews, in terms of white supremacy dominating the country, as long as Hitler just maintained it in Germany and no other country, Candace Owens would have been perfectly fine with it. That is literally praising Hitler. That's literally being a Nazi sympathizer right over here. And this is the kind of, and you would be shocked how many of these America First type people, they would be on her side with it. That they would be perfectly okay with Hitler just doing what he does in terms of keeping it in Germany, and that's it. In fact, that is that is what the America First mentality was back in World War II. Back in World War II, people would actually say America First because it was their way of supporting the Nazi Party without vocally supporting the Nazi Party. And here she is right now giving praise to Hitler, saying that what Hitler did back in World War II was perfectly okay. So imagine, the thing is, it's like I said, it's either that she doesn't care what she says, she doesn't believe in the things she says, she just has no moral compass, only cares about herself, a full-on sociopath, and just says whatever she wants, and let racist white nationalists just blindly agree with her and just profit all the way. Or she has some serious mental issues in which she needs some very serious medical attention as soon as possible, because this mentality right here is just not okay. And yet there are still so many people to this day that still listen to her, and especially in this case here, saying, you know, like trying to put out this like agenda, trying to say like, oh, they're forcing the trans agenda onto the children. We need more manly Muppets. And that's another thing that I really want to go and that's one thing I want to go and comment also. The fact that she says that we need more manly Muppets. What the hell does that mean? Needing more manly Muppets. What do you mean manly Muppets? Because let me just say right now, if we go into what the conservative definition of what being a man is, why the hell would you even be talking about the Muppets in the first place? In fact, technically, if we do think about what is the definition of a man, no real conservative man should even be talking about the Muppets or should even be watching the Muppets in the first place, because they're nothing more but kid stuff, let alone a Disney Junior series called Muppet Babies. Why would they care about what's happening in there? And let's be honest here, this is not about for the children. We know these far-right people don't give a single shit about children. They only care about their needs. They only care about themselves and their feelings. And right now, their feelings is being triggered because Gonzo right now is just wearing a dress. But technically, if you are a real conservative man, you shouldn't even be watching the Muppets. In fact, you shouldn't be watching any form of animated content, period. Because technically, according to the traditionalist mentality of what it is to be a real man, you should stop watching any form of cartoons whatsoever, except for the more adult-oriented ones like Family Guy or Simpsons or BoJack Horseman or whatever. You shouldn't be watching anything from like Disney or Sony or like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or anything like that. The only thing a real conservative man should be watching is just sports, that they would be sitting on the couch having a beer after their 9 to 5 and just be watching either football or baseball or golf or whatever. That's what they should be watching. They shouldn't be concerned about what's going on with freaking Muppet Babies. No real conservative man is a Muppet fan or an animation fan. And I'm not dictating any of the rules here. I'm just saying that's what the traditionalist mentality of what a man is. And considering that conservative men are very devoted to that mentality, then they shouldn't be giving a crap about what this is. And really, this whole this whole agenda of going after trans people, it really is bullcrap. Because I'm just gonna say this right now, like I don't care what people think, it needs to be said that when it comes to people against trans rights compared to actual trans people, there is a 99.9% chance. Yeah, like actually, when it comes to transphobes, let me rephrase that. People who are against trans rights are 99.9% more likely to be rapists and pedophiles, more so than the trans people that they would go and accuse. Like, it is always the case, no matter who it is. It's always the transphobes that would go and end up becoming the abusers and the rapists and the child groomers, more so than literally any of the trans people that they would go and accuse of. And if you don't believe me, take a look at Republican politicians like Matt Gaetz and Roy Moore, who are actually proven to be legitimate pedophiles. Or what about the cops who have a long history of rape and pedophilia? Or especially the church. It's always the people that conservatives defend that are most likely to be rapists and pedophiles, more so than the people that they would go and attack. And that is the massive hypocrisy of all the of like this whole transphobia transphobia thing that is going on, because it's usually the transphobes that usually have this kind of shady activity more so than the people they are accusing of. It's almost as if they're kind of hiding their own intentions. They're kind of hiding their own crimes and just try to throw it onto others in a desperate attempt to try to avoid any form of consequences. This is why we need to treat transphobia as a crime. Transphobia, or being against trans rights, that's not an opinion. It is a crime that should be treated as bad as pedophilia. And yes, it is something that we need to fire people for. Make them lose their jobs, make them lose relationships, make them lose everything. Force them to be homeless until they learn to silence their hate speech. That's the thing, that's the big thing I want to go and emphasize with transphobia, because there is no proof that the trans people are the bad guys that these people are trying to claim them to ever be. It's honestly ridiculous the way that they would try to push this narrative. And overall, one thing that I really want to go and try to emphasize, and this is honestly something that I feel like is the most hypocritical thing that these transphobes are trying to do right now, is that what they are doing, like the whole thing of trying to go after Muppet Babies for this episode and stuff like that, that's cancel culture. These people are legitimately trying to use cancel culture in a desperate attempt to force censorship on an episode of Muppet Babies. And it is massively hypocritical, because technically earlier this year, those same people that are going after Muppet Babies right now, those are the ones that are accusing liberals and the left and whatever of cancel culture because of the Muppet Show appearing on Disney Plus. Had a few episodes where it started off with a bit of a disclaimer, because there were certain episodes where they would show where they showed some racist depictions that are pretty outdated to this day. And there are also some times where they would show some anti-American hate symbols as well, like the Confederate flag. And yeah, and you would see like the media going all around, and they would accuse liberals, and they would accuse Disney of cancel culture, and they're trying to cancel the Muppets. Like, they were desperately trying to push that narrative. And yet, here they are, trying to do the same thing, trying to use cancel culture in a desperate attempt to try to censor an episode, trying to hide it from the public, and yet you don't see the media calling this cancel culture. And it's massively hypocritical of the media to not do anything about it, to not punish these far-right groups, to call out these transphobes for enabling cancel culture. It's ridiculous. Like, seriously, this is exactly, they're doing exactly what they are accusing the left of doing, and they have no repercussions whatsoever. It's ridiculous. It's the same way that these transphobes are hypocritical of accusing trans people of being rapists and pedophiles, when most transphobes are actually rapists and pedophiles in the first place. It's ridiculous. It shows this really idiotic hypocrisy right over here. So honestly, overall, it's ridiculous. This backlash, it's just absolutely stupid. And it really shows the massive hypocrisy from far-right groups whenever they would try to go and desperately enable their hate speech. This is, like, it really shows, like, not only their hypocrisy, but even proves why hate speech should not be considered freedom of speech. It should be legitimately considered a crime, because the people who are enabling hate speech, they are the ones that are exactly like how they accuse the left of being. So I just want to go and put my input on all that. So yeah, honestly, overall, if you can, please go and check out the episode of Muppet Babies. Go check out Gonzo-rella, because I can guarantee you, most of these people, they just jealous. In fact, I think I remember I commented on that on Twitter, and there was one person put out a great response that the reason why Candace Owens is pissed off about this episode is because she can never look as fabulous as Gonzo. And yeah, like, Gonzo looks absolutely great, man. And I mean, I hope Gonzo does wear more dresses. And I mean, this one looks great on him. And who knows, in the future, maybe we'll see more crazy dresses that Gonzo can wear. And like I said, it's definitely not out of character. And yeah, someone mentioned it as well. Corey from Doubles Toasted, he pretty much said the same thing. And I definitely do agree on that. So With that said, though, it is now time I get into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, how do you feel about the whole controversy of Gonzo-rella and the hypocrisy of far-right groups when they try to enable transphobia? Let me know in the chat wall and tell me what you think on this. Oh, someone is saying that Candace Owens is worse than Uncle Ruckus. Nah, Candace Owens is a gender-bent Uncle Ruckus. That's actually, like, that is probably the best way to do it. Or at least the best way that you would go and describe her minstrel act is that she's basically just a gender-bent Uncle Ruckus, where she doesn't think of herself as a black woman, but rather she sees herself as a white man, no different than the people wearing swastikas or white hoods. That's basically the whole song and dance routine that she would do to these white supremacists. Let's see. Huzzah to the Muppets for breaking gender stereotypes. As someone who's trying to normalize ideas like guys wearing pink or women playing video games, I like to think this could be very good for children who don't feel comfortable in their own skin. I've met transgender children. I can tell you that this is not a phase. An episode like this can possibly be beneficial to them. And that is why this episode is actually very important. And this is why this episode is actually getting great praise, because it's saying something that nowadays a lot of television and movies are kind of afraid to say about. We should have more episodes that like this that would actually go and teach kids that it's okay to be comfortable in your skin regardless of who you are and regardless of who you identify. Don't let genetics describe everything that you are. So let's see. She's no Muppet fan, and that is a crime in itself. Candace Owens deserves all the hate she is getting. God, this is why I hate conservative America so much. Anyways, this Muppet Babies series, based on the episode I've seen, it's a cute series. I'm glad they are continuing the same spirit of the original series. Good job on the writers for this episode in particular. Yeah, and then again, considering that Candace Owens is a grifter, and that's probably the nicest way to describe her, I think, like, she is doing that on purpose. She knows about the hate that she's getting, but she doesn't care because it's getting her attention. Like I said, she's an absolute sociopath, so she doesn't care. I mean, like, technically what I'm doing right now is, like, fueling the attention that she wants to get, regardless if it's either hate or anything like that. But still, though, there is a part of her where, like, she needs to have medical attention because she's mentally not well. Either that, or she's very conscious of what she's doing and just has no cares whatsoever. Let's see, what else do we have here? Let's see. I really liked Gonzo as a kid because I first saw him in Muppets from Space, and if you don't know, well, you probably did. He's actually an alien. Well, I mean, considering how that movie is, it's like, can we still leave it inconclusive? I like Gonzo when we don't know what his species is. Anyways, back to this. I actually find Gonzo wearing a dress hilarious, but in a good way, because it really expresses himself on who he really is, and even when he does crazy stunts. So this might teach people to express themselves and not be afraid to wear whatever they want to wear. Also, I don't blame you. No one should use transphobes on everything you said, so screw them. Exactly. Or you mean transphobia. Let's see what we have here. It is so ironic that conservatives keep trying to stop cancel culture when they're the ones trying to cancel Muppet Babies. If you want my 2 cents, it kind of seems like the character of Gonzo, since he practically is the walking crap post of the Muppets. So in short, Candace Owens, more like Candace, Lady May. Make even one good point in her life. Yeah, Candace, lady, make even one good point in your life. Also, I recently saw the Tamatoa video. I gotta ask, did Karsten Ruckus get your plate of scrambled eggs warm? Well, I try. Honestly, the thing is that I try to wrap it up in tinfoil. I don't know if it really worked out, but hopefully she did like it. Let's see. I cannot express how much I despise the stupid cancel culture excuse. It literally drives me crazy like BJ Joe drives his crazy taxi. But all jokes aside, this is just immature, and people should let others be who they are. I know I don't like or do cross-dressing, but This is just absolutely ridiculous. It really goes to show how the far right and even Candace Owens and Fox News make cancel culture look like a freaking mental disorder. I feel so good after blowing off that steam. Oh, you know how I feel then. That's part of why I love this podcast. It's just that I can personally go and let off some steam, even on some controversial stuff. Oh, let's see. And people complain about how the left ruins everything. That was precious and a good message for boys and girls. Trans kids exist. Coy Mathis is one and had known since she was 3. Carrie Pathan, Cyborg's voice actor, has a son who is a trans boy. Kids aren't going through surgery at 6. They just want to wear certain clothes, toys, and the pronouns and names. Them feeling validated. The YouTube comments are going to have a field day with angry conservatives. Oh, that's only part 1. I'm only getting started on this. All right, I'm going to go and read one more comment before we jump into the next story. Huzzah to the Muppets for breaking gender stereotypes. As someone who's trying to... Oh, no, wait, no, I already read you. Sorry. Let's see. Who else did I not read? Just want to double check. On one side, I find the Muppet clip very cute and heartfelt with delightful animation. But on the other side... It is truly appalling that Miss Owens is not even fazed by the horrendous thing Hitler did 80 years ago. I strongly advise her to visit Auschwitz. No, she would, and she doesn't care. Like I said, she's a godforsaken sociopath, and it really says a lot about who she is, and especially the kind of people who actually listen to her. Like I said, Trump supporters and transphobes are 99.9% more likely to be rapists and pedophiles, more so than the trans people that they accuse. Okay, so on to our next story that we got over here. And this one, well, it's not necessarily the content itself that is actually controversial, but rather the response to it. And, oh man, the hate that it is getting, it is honestly questionable, but then you'll realize, yeah, there's just a whole lot of bad faith actors in this. So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for a series that you haven't heard in a long time. Like, some people thought that it just got canceled and it wouldn't see the light of day, but no, this is not the case. We are indeed getting High Guardian Spice on Crunchyroll, so let's check it out.
We've been preparing our whole lives for this day. All of our dreams will soon come true if we only try. All of our hopes come shining through. Come on, future guardians of Lingard. It's just up ahead. We welcome you, our first-year students.
I'm going to be so great at magic.
If your courage fails you, you will forfeit your guardianship.
Everyone, draw your weapons.
Polish and sharpen your minds, your reflexes.
You've got to be brave if you want to be a guardian.
I don't know if I can do this.
You're gonna be a perfect guardian. I'll never give up on any of my friends. Onward to victory!
My mom, she went off on some mission, but she never came back.
Mommy!
Is the level of magic in the earth fading?
We have to undo this! Why are you after us?
Kill them.
Team Fighting Girls, join the battle! We are not calling ourselves that.
All right, and that was High Guardian Spice, which we don't have an official release date yet, but it is going to be coming soon on Crunchyroll. And one thing that I will state is that I did mention before about the fact that this was a name that people haven't heard of in years. Well, that is actually because this is the second time ever that High Guardian Spice actually made a presence. Or more rather, technically this is the first time, because let's go back a little bit to 2018. Now, that was when High Guardian Spice as an animated project was first announced. And when that trailer first appeared, it actually got a severe amount of backlash. Because technically, or at least the main reason of it, it's not, the thing is that it wasn't actually a trailer to the series. In fact, we had no clips whatsoever of what it's about. In fact, what it was actually a bit of a promo for the studio behind it, talking about they only talked about a little bit of the making of the series, but for the most part, it was actually the new studio that was founded, that was working on this animated series, and how they would go and take pride in the diversity that is within the group, where I believe it was the writing team was mainly consists of women, and that in the studio there was a whole lot of not only women but LGBTQ plus groups, non-binary people, that they really took pride in their diversity. And even the head of that studio is also the head of the nonprofit organization Women in Animation. And from there, that ended up receiving so much of a backlash because it showed nothing about the series. I mean, like, if you want to do a promo for your studio, that's perfectly fine. Go make it a promo. Like, go make it as a promo. But don't lie to your audience saying that this is a trailer for a brand new series you have in store, because you barely delivered what is within the series itself. And that is the major problem of that. Like, this, what we got here, that is fine. We should have got that years ago, and it would have saved these people so much trouble. And with that said, actually going into what we got here with High Guardian Spice, honestly, the one thing I will say is that it looks fine. I will say it does look like a pretty cute series. Like, first of all, like, one thing I do have to state, like, I know, like, making comparisons is not really that cool of a thing, but personally, I feel like with High Guardian Spice, it's just this, like, it really feels like a She-Ra series. It wants to really be like DreamWorks She-Ra in a way, especially in terms of its animation style, which I will give it credit. The animation actually does look good. I mean, it is that obvious mock anime style, but it actually does have some pretty good visuals. Like, the backgrounds are done nicely, and there does seem to be some nice creativity, that you do have, like, all these different elements that are going to be going on, like the main characters going on these different adventures. Like, you see them as mermaids, like they'll be fighting they fight demons. Like, it's a series that does promise that we're going to be getting a whole lot of action. So I will give it credit that, yeah, like, we are getting a lot of these mock anime styles so much recently, but I'll give it credit. It actually does look good. In fact, I would probably say it is one of the best elements. And in terms of the series, like, for me personally, I would say I wouldn't necessarily be all that interested in, like, it's not the kind of thing that would make me immediately say, this is a must watch. I gotta get Crunchyroll in order to see this. But this does look like the thing where, like, I could see it actually gain a fan base where, yeah, like, a lot of people might be doubtful, but it wouldn't surprise me that when the show would be on and people would check it out, it would have its fan base. It would actually have people actually enjoying it, and it would actually be fine. Now, one criticism that I do agree on that a lot of people are pretty much saying is the fact that technically this is on Crunchyroll, which is exclusively all anime, and this looks like something that would technically be more in place in something like Netflix or Cartoon Network. And I mean, yeah, I do understand that. That is true, technically, but then again, I mean, it is Crunchyroll that is demanding this to have this happen, so it's their idea, honestly. But I do understand that. Like, this series in particular, it would seem out of place compared to all the other Japanese media that is out there, you know? Like, this does look like some kind of weird wolf in sheep's clothing in a sense where, like, now Crunchyroll is also offering American content with obviously American animation. But then again, though, it's not something that I would go too hard on. Like, yeah, sure, maybe it's not in the right platform, but that doesn't necessarily reflect upon the series itself if it's going to be good and bad, especially when it does have this very prominent theme of Dungeons and Dragons. And that's one thing it also really reminds me of, like, other than She-Ra, is that you do have that major Dungeons and Dragons theme, especially with the main characters where like you got basically you got the warrior, and then you also got the mage, you got the bow, you got the bow and arrow person, and then like you got the dwarf with the giant hammer. It's like it has a bit of that Dungeons and Dragons template, but has more of a Ruby style woman theme. Like, I think that's the best way to go and describe this. It's a combination of Dungeons and Dragons, Ruby, and She-Ra. And if done right, like, if this series can actually pull it off well, if the team behind it, like, they actually put in all their love and all their effort into this, then I can actually imagine this working out pretty well. Like, it has the materials where it does seem a little bit promising, but ultimately I feel like it would be a bit of a thing that we would have to wait and see. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, this looks perfectly fine, but why the fridge did you advertise this as something that would seem controversial? Why would this seem like something that would get a lot of backlash of? Well, like I said before, it's not necessarily the trailer itself that's getting a lot of hate or getting a lot of backlash, or like what it did specifically. It's the response to it, and oh my god, the amount of hate that it is getting, it's honestly ridiculous. And if you don't believe me, take a look at the like and dislike bar on YouTube, like this right here. Like, it's got 1.6k likes. Okay, that's fine. 9.4k dislikes. Like, what the fridge happened here? Like, what is going on to get so many people this much angry, this much hated? And like, I don't even want to scroll down in the comments section, because like, we're talking about that thing right there is just Chernobyl levels of just toxicity right there. But you might be wondering, what the fridge is going on with this trailer? Why is it getting so much hate? Well, let's actually go back to 2018 when that trailer was first announced. And yes, it is true that technically the way that they marketed the show, or technically marketed their studio, that was poorly handled. But a big part of that as well is actually from bad faith actors. Because if there is one problem that the anime community is very well known to have, is this very dangerous, and I would even dare say violent, toxic masculinity. Now, this is not this does not reflect on the entire anime community. In fact, this is only a minority group within the anime community. But you know for a fact that there's this one sector that is fully anti-woke, that they pretty much have this full-on white nationalist mentality, and they're a part of all different kinds of hate groups, like the 3%ers, Proud Boys, and whatever incel groups out there. And they have this very strong and passionate hatred for feminism. And you could probably imagine when a studio appeared and they were saying that they're going to provide content for Crunchyroll, and that they're a studio that a lot of it consists of women, non-binary people, and LGBTQ plus people. Yeah, you can imagine that they got absolutely triggered, and they just went in an all-out attack, portraying this as feminism. For them, feminism is like one of the greatest evils of this world. And for them, with High Guardian Spice, they label it as a feminist show, mainly because of the amount of women that actually worked on it. And I will just say right now, like with their anti-feminism and stuff like that, you know, I'm not going to call them anti-feminist. I'm actually going to call anti-feminism for what it actually is. Misogyny. Nothing but full-on misogyny, where people have this viewpoint where they want women to be inferior to men in every single way possible. Even when it comes to the things that they like, they just want it to be a frat house style boys club, while women, well, they can have some uses, but only to go and serve men, and that's it. And for them, seeing women in major prominent roles, seeing women actually making content for Crunchyroll, that immediately just gets them triggered, and so much stuff like that. And not to mention as well, that when it comes to these anti-woke weeaboos, they think they know everything. They love to pretend that they are the biggest experts of Japanese culture, of anime, and that they are the true geniuses, and anybody who disagrees with them, that they are in the wrong. For them, they don't care about the facts. They only care about winning the argument whatsoever. But they have such a broken down moral compass to the point that nothing they say should be of value or even should be heard. You would be shocked of the amount of these anti-woke weeaboo people. Not only do they believe that toxic masculinity doesn't exist and that there is only toxicity in feminism, but they're also the kind of people that do unironically believe that blackface is not racist whatsoever and should be socially acceptable. With that kind of mentality, I don't care how many times they went to Japan or anything like that. They do not deserve to be listened to in terms of their opinions. I'll just say this right now. There is no such thing as an anti-woke person who understands how the anime industry works, especially if they believe if feminism is worse than the notorious working conditions that are in the anime community. We all know how things are going in the anime industry right now. Like in the working conditions in the anime industry. We all know how bad they are. Like, it doesn't matter which studio. Working in the anime industry has been described like 99% of the time as absolute hell, where they were overworked and they are underpaid, regardless of what the situation may be. Like, honestly, it's absolutely dreadful. Like, yeah, sure. A lot of people are definitely hating on High Guardian Spice because, like, oh, the studio making it is full of feminists and whatever. I trust a studio that, like, one thing I will say about High Guardian Spice is that one thing it does better than even some of the best animes to this day is that the working conditions that's run by these feminists are way better than the ones that are currently happening in Japan. And that's why I feel like there is a very serious toxic masculinity that is currently infecting the anime community, is the fact that their hatred for feminism is so strong that they don't see problems with anything that is actually real. They don't have like a moral compass or a sense of empathy for others. Like they are also like massive sociopaths that would be the kind of people that would actually go and attack Muppet Babies because Gonzo wore a dress. And overall, I feel like with this trailer, now this is not like purely based on my opinion or stuff like that, but the thing is, honestly, with this, the reaction of High Guardian Spice, I feel like the backlash that it's getting, it actually says a lot more about the anime community, more so than it actually does the trailer itself. Because yeah, sure, like we could agree that maybe it's not the most original thing out there. Like, as I said, it does look like a combination of like D&D and Ruby and High Guardian Spice and High Guardian Spice, Ruby, D&D, Ruby, and She-Ra. It does look like a combination of those things into one. And I mean, you can like it, you can hate it, but if you're going to be using anti-woke arguments, like complaining, like using this as an excuse to put hatred on feminism and stuff like that, then honestly, I think the anime community needs to go and wake up, and they need to go and confront this toxic masculinity, because I know for a fact that the anime community is better than that. That they're not this raging hate group that just wants this to be like this boys club. And really, I just want to say this right now. Like, there is no anti-woke person that is a real anime fan, because real anime fans, they don't care, like, they don't use anime as a way to escape woke culture or political correctness. They appreciate the art that is actually put in, all the hard work. And I know, like, some people might say it's pretentious, but then again, those people are so pretentious all the time, trying to dictate what it means to be an anime fan and who shouldn't be an anime fan. Then we might as well use their, fight fire with fire. You guys know what I mean? And especially, there is like this irony is that, like, these groups of people, they always say that, oh, the anime industry should be run by us fans. It would be so much better if us fans would go and run the anime industry and show them how it's done. Yeah, and by the way, when they say the us fans, when they say the fans, they only mean like-minded people like themselves, like the kind of Trump-supporting nationalists. And I'll just say this, that if that actually did happen, if the anime industry were run by those nationalist fanboys, the whole anime industry would be dead. Everything would be shut down, because these people obviously have no idea what they're doing. I mean, they spend most of their time complaining with people who actually do work in the anime industry and try to mansplain to them about how things are done, when they themselves have no idea what they're doing. I mean, a lot of them barely even draw, for God's sakes. Or they barely, like, I can even guarantee you, barely even a lot of them, like, they barely even know Japan. Like, 99% of them haven't actually been to Japan. They like to, as I said, they don't care about the facts. They don't care about knowing about anything. All they care about is just winning the argument. And like I said, there is no such thing as a real anime fan who is anti-woke or who is anti-feminist. And honestly, this should be, like I said, this should be a wake-up call for the anime community to do something about the toxic masculinity, to address it, to condemn it, and to reject those who do encompass that toxic masculinity. So honestly, I feel like this really is a call of action. Like, as I said before, you can have whatever opinion you may have on this trailer of High Guardian Spice, but if you're going to be using bullcrap misogynistic arguments about feminism or whatever, then honestly, your opinion should not be valid or should be heard. All right, so now with that out of my chest, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about the High Guardian Spice trailer? Did you guys enjoy it? Are you a little iffy? And especially, do you feel like this deserves the backlash that it got? Let me know what you think. Let's see. So, I don't see why people were having a fit about this show. I agree that they should have promoted the studio rather than call it a trailer for the show, but it's still insane on the backlash being about the crew is diverse. I think it looks like a cute show and one of those anime for kids. I probably would have watched it as a little kid. Everybody was judging on the crew being mostly women and diverse people and placing that falsehood as a mark of the show's quality. How? I don't know. Because sadly, the thing is, their hate, that's why anti-woke people are considered a hate group, because their hatred is what fuels them. And if they only see one aspect that they hate, then it encompasses everything. Why else do you think anti-woke Star Wars fans go after Kathleen Kennedy so much? It's because she is a woman of power and she's not serving a man. So that's the thing. It's a hate. Anti-woke groups are nothing but hate groups. That's the thing. And especially anti-feminist groups are nothing but hate groups. Let's see. I'll admit this looks pretty cute. The animation is colorful, the concept is pretty promising, and the ending was pretty funny. Yeah, I do admit I did chuckle at that too. I unfortunately can't see this because, well, I don't have Crunchyroll. It doesn't deserve as much hate as the atrocious Emoji Movie, but the sexist haters who have seen these trailers are just misogynistic losers with no social lives whatsoever. Yeah, exactly. They can only wish they can go and date one of these girls. Like, that's the thing. They're just angry because, like, none of them are going to be their girlfriends. That's like they wish they can have a girlfriend like the pink-haired girl, but unfortunately that won't happen. And I mean, that's the thing with these anti-feminists. They have different names, actually. The ones that can never get a girl, those are called incels. The anti-feminists who are actually in a relationship with a woman, whether it be married or just have a girlfriend, they are referred to as one of two things: domestic abusers or wife beaters. All right, let's see what else we got here. Well, that actually looked kind of decent. Nice animation, a cool Harry Potter-esque setting, decent voice acting, so what's the problem? Hang on, let me check it out. Wasn't expecting that. I mean, I've heard of separating the art from the artist, but man, this info gives this show an extra bad taste. I guess now I gotta make a witty remark close to a Despacito. I don't know, man, I'm just too much a surprise. Give me props for trying. That's the thing, man. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna do that as well. I just wanna Guardian Spice. Just want to double check on the whole situation on what is the backlash. Yeah, and oh my god, like I'm already seeing Clownfish TV already trying to capitalize on that. Yeah, I don't see what really is the backlash. I don't feel where is the problem, honestly? Like, is there something about the creators that I don't know about that, like, is there something bad about them that, like, I wasn't aware of? I just want to double check. Yeah, just want to double check if there is anything bad, like, let me know. Let's see. If you want my take, this trailer looks fine. While it is better than the original, it kind of looks like a generic fantasy series. Also, while there are people hating this for bad reasons, I don't want to try to say all of them are thinking of those bad takes. As someone who's planning on making a YouTube review series, I don't want to enforce the idea of all of them are like this, because it can be very straw man take that makes a fan base toxic the same way as the alternative. I mean, like I said, of course, like, if you don't like the series, if you don't like how it looks, that's perfectly fine. Just don't be using bigoted reasons like what we see with all the, like, oh, this is pushing feminism. Yeah, that's just, like, that's not, no. Like, no one is going to take you seriously if you're going to do that. Let's see. What else we got here? Just want to double check. I already read you. I can understand some of the controversy around this, like the poor marketing and how this may not really be qualified as an anime, but then there is also the idiotic controversy, especially the misogyny and attacking the staff that made this. As for the show itself, it looks rather fun, but it does feel that the original thought if it could say something good about this show. It looks better than some of Crunchyroll's other shows, like Gibiet or especially X-Arm, which was just, ouch. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like, some people are even trying to comment, like, some people are trying to compare this to X-Arm, which is highly inaccurate. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are those people that are trying to use the Cal Art style excuse on this, which that like, trying to unironically use the Cal Art style to criticize something is the perfect way to say that you know nothing while trying to make it look like you know everything. Let's see now. Let's see. What else do we got here? Do we have any updates on, like, yeah, like, JF, do you know, like, if you have any updates on, like, what you research, can you please present it to the class on this? Let's see. I already read you. I'll read one more comment. Let's see what we got. Kate Leth. Kate Leth. Hold on a sec. Let me just double check on Kate Leth on this High Guardian Spice. Just want to just want to double check. Kate Leth and it's just I see. Oh, Jesus. Uh-huh. Oh, that. Yeah, this is kind of enforcing what this is enforcing what I'm talking about, honestly. Criminy. Yikes, poor woman. Poor person, yeah. Okay. I see what you mean now. Yeah. Wow, they really are proving me correct on what I said there. Jesus Christ, yeah. Anime community, the sooner you can go and, the sooner you can actually realize that you have a toxic masculinity problem, the better. Yeah, poor Kate, seriously. Okay, so now that we got the controversial stories done with, it is now time that we shall go and move on to our next story that we got here. Well, unfortunately, as much as I would like to go on a brighter note after all that, but sadly, this is not going to be the case here because, sadly, it looks like Blue Sky is not going to be the only one that's going to lose their studio this year, because there is another prominent studio that actually did shut down. And you might not have heard about it as much as Blue Sky, but maybe you are familiar with some of their works. And what I'm talking about is Tangent Animation. Yes, it has been reported not long ago last week that Tangent Animation is shutting down. Tangent Animation is actually a studio that is located both in Toronto and Winnipeg, and apparently it has been reported that both of those studios are going to be shutting down, and sadly up to 400 employees will be losing their jobs. Now, for those of you who don't necessarily know what Tangent Animation is, they actually started all the way back in 2014, so they were actually a relatively young animation studio, and they started things off by doing animations for smaller movies such as Ozzy and the Netflix movie Next Gen. Now, they do have plenty of other projects, but some of them have yet to be released, and there are plenty that unfortunately will be cancelled. What you might find them to be the most well-known for, or going to be well-known for, is actually providing the animation for Jorge Gutierrez's Maya and the Three, which apparently has been reported that they did actually finish on the animation on that. So whatever job they have to do for Maya and the Three, they're actually all finished with it. And we actually did get a response from Jorge Gutierrez, the creator of Maya and the Three. He actually responded on Twitter talking about the unfortunate shutdown, in which he states, "This is heartbreaking. I wholeheartedly adore working with all the brilliant and ridiculously talented artists, artisans, and producers at Tangent. What they accomplished with Maya and the Three is epic. I'm jealous of future directors that will be lucky to create with them." Now, just want to state right now that technically there is no confirmation as to why Tangent Animation shut down. No specific reason, if it actually is really related to the pandemic, if it's because they don't have enough of the finances or anything like that. But the closest that we can have so far is because a lot of the projects that they were working on, well, they weren't really liked enough to actually be produced, because Tangent was working heavily with Netflix. In fact, you could kind of say that Tangent Animation was an animation studio for Netflix, especially when a lot of the stuff that they were working on, like Next Gen, ended up on Netflix, and they were doing stuff like Maya and the Three. But then they were also working on other movies as well that were going to be Netflix exclusive animated features, such as The Monkey King, that was supposed to be set in 2023, as well as the adaptation of Paul McCartney's kids' book, High in the Clouds, which apparently Netflix looked at it and they were really not liking the direction that they were going. So, and keep in mind, that's just speculation. There is no true confirmation as to why they shut down, but that seems to be the situation that we have right now, is that Tangent has unexpectedly and unfortunately shut down their doors. And, you know, it really did make me reflect back about the profession of animation. And if there is one thing that I will say is more true than anything else in terms of working as an animator. And really, it's a case where it is true in more ways than one, is the old saying of how animators are an actor are an actor with a pencil. That basically you do a lot of acting, but you have to draw your acting skills instead of performing your acting skills. Now, that is actually true. But another element why it's actually true, why saying that animators are actors with a pencil, is because the job of an animator is much like an actor as well. Because like acting, animation is a profession where you don't usually stay in just one spot. You don't just stay in one studio and you're pretty much set for the rest of your life until retirement. The thing is that it's usually a gig job where you have to jump from one studio to the next, and you hope to go and land one gig so that you can actually have a job, so that you'll work on some kind of project for the next few years, and then you'll be done with that, and then you got to go and move on to another studio. Like, imagine an animator in LA where they got to constantly hop from one project to the next, where in 1 minute they would work on a Sony animation movie, next thing they're going to work on a Cartoon Network series, and then after that they got to go and work on a special for Nickelodeon, and then after that they got to go and do some special effects for Warner Brothers, and and then they'd work on a video game, and then they work on visual effects. It's just like constantly hopping from one project to the next, and sometimes that is not easy. You could probably imagine, I can probably guess that some of you have tried to do some job searching for yourselves. Imagine trying to do that on a regular basis, where for every 2 to 3 years, you got to go and find a new job all the time because, well, the one that you just worked on expired, so now it's up to looking for another job. And then, of course, you would have these kinds of situations that would occur where the project or the entire studio would just unexpectedly shut down in front of you. It doesn't happen all the time when you would work as an animator and you would work on something that ultimately ended up becoming what it is. Or you specifically don't stay for long on that specific project. Maybe the people who are running it, they don't like the direction that it's going, and they decided the solution would be to go and kick you out and replace you with someone else so that it could go in a different direction that they would actually prefer. Or it could be the case that the whole project ended up getting canceled, meaning that your job that you have, well, it's just suddenly and unexpectedly gone. Or even in the case of Tangent Animation, that you're working on something, you're working on Monkey King or something like that, and suddenly they realize, oh, the studio is now closed. And that is another opportunity that is pretty much gone. You can't even go back to do another job and something like that. So now it's up to another case of just hopping from one job to the next. And it very much, it sometimes can be difficult. Now, of course, I'm not discouraging people from working in animation. If you dream of being an animator, definitely go and do it. But there are some drawbacks as well. And the road to becoming an animator and the road to maintaining your status as an animator, it could be extremely difficult, especially nowadays where there's definitely a lot of opportunities out there, but there's also a lot of competition in order to get those opportunities at the same time. So it can absolutely be extremely difficult, and also as I pointed out, it can also be very much unexpected. And again, we don't fully know what the true reason as to why Tangent shut down, but it is still something that is massively unfortunate, especially with the way that around up to 400 animators are going to lose their jobs, or 400 employees will be losing their jobs. That is actually very much devastating and a very massive blow to these employees and also to the industry as well. well, because with 400, those are very close to the numbers of when DreamWorks had to downsize back at the start of 2015, and they had to cut their Redwood division, where I think around like maybe 400, but like around 500 people ended up losing their jobs because of that downsizing. And this is the case that we have here. And you got to keep in mind nowadays, of course, like, especially when we are still in this pandemic, trying to go and find jobs can still be very difficult. It kind of adds an extra layer to the challenge as well, in order to go and find people who would be willing to go and actually hire you for the job. So overall, it's very unfortunate, especially for a young animation studio like Tangent that has yet to fully prove themselves to be a prominent studio. Like, yeah, technically, maybe some people are aware of Next Gen, but if they lasted longer, they would have had their true time to shine when Netflix would go and release Maya and the Three, because that release is actually not that far off. They say it's going to be coming out this fall, which technically, considering we're in August, that would mean that it's going to be released in the next few months. So we'll see how it goes. But again, it's just very unfortunate to see stuff like this actually happen. And the best that I could wish is for these animators to one day actually find a new job somewhere else. And especially, like, since they are in Vancouver, well, no, not in Vancouver, but like, it especially is stinging when, like, it is like a Canadian studio, when it's like in Toronto and also in Winnipeg. Like, hopefully these animators can find other jobs soon. Like Winnipeg, I can understand it is pretty difficult to try to find like other studios that can actually provide animation services, because like it's freaking Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Manitoba is not as well known to have like a lot of like many things to do, especially in the entertainment field. Toronto, I mean, they'll probably have a little bit of an easier job or an easier path to go and find another job. But I do wish those 400 employees the best after that unfortunate moment. So yeah, that's honestly something that I just want to go and bring up, because yeah, it's sad to see these studios go, especially when you got this small, well, not a small studio, but like when you have a studio that has yet to fully prove themselves, and that they that they are ready to go into the big time, especially being a prominent studio working with Netflix, providing like these like what would have been like these major TV shows and movies and stuff like that. It's just a very unfortunate moment. Okay, so with that said, let us now go into the chat wall, and I'd like to go and ask you, how do you feel about the whole situation of Tangent Animation shutting down? Maybe not a lot of you might have something to say, but if you do, please let me know what you may think. Yeah, someone even mentions, well, Montreal on the other hand. Well, Montreal, we have the greatest Canadian artists. I mean, if you want to go and open up a new studio, then why not have it be in Montreal? All right, let's see. While I never saw the film Next Gen, I did check out Aussie, and it was, well, in short, not my cup of tea. But it's always sad to see an animation company go, especially one that isn't even that old. So I bid thee farewell, Tangent Animation, and all the animators good luck. It sucks that we didn't see the fruits of their labor. Unless we did. Again, I didn't watch Next Gen. Is it any good? Honestly, I haven't seen it myself, but I think Pan Pizza made a review of it. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, like, if you want a good indicator if it's good, if it's either good or bad, check out Pan Pizza's. I think Pan Pizza made a review of it. I could be wrong, but I remember there was a prominent. Yeah, okay. Someone mentioned to me. Yeah, go and check out Pan Pizza's review. That's my best answer for that. Let's see. I never really was familiar with the studio, but this is honestly sad. My favorite movie was Next Gen, a film that proved that they had some very talented artists who could bring the world of humans and robots to life. My good luck goes to the former employees who will be needing to find new jobs, especially during the you know what. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Someone even mentioned, how does it feel to be cameoed in a video that also features Scott the Woz? It feels great, dude. It feels very nice. And I gotta say, like, I guess I'm sidetracking here, but it's amazing how, like, the amount of people Shafrila's actually brought on board for this project. It's amazing and even admirable, I might say. Let's see. Oh, wow. Apparently Pan actually loved it. He said it's better than Big Hero 6. That is some big praise right there, dude. Wow. Anyways, I have to imagine that since this was a Netflix associated studio, that maybe Netflix was downsizing as well. I remember when you talked about Sausage Party a long time ago and how Canada wasn't unionized with their animation studio. My sister said Canada is starting to unionize. Maybe there's an issue or an indicator. Yes, it is true, actually. Canada is starting to actually have some unionized animation studios. I believe it was Titmouse in Vancouver that is starting to have some unionized studios. So, yeah, so that is something that we are starting to do. And I know that is like a major issue, but I do hope for the best for them as well. Let's see, who else do we have? What the fridge? I feel bad for that. I feel bad that the studio is shutting down. Even if I haven't seen the movies, but I still feel bad because they don't earn their money because they're shutting down, unfortunately. Yeah, let's see. I've never heard of this studio, but it is sad to see another animation studio is getting shut down. I was surprised that you mentioned that this is the same studio that made Next Gen for Netflix, though. I haven't seen the movie yet, though it is sad that they are getting shut down despite the potential it had. Good luck on the animators on trying to find a new job. And I will say that if there is a way to go and honor them, then just go and check out Maya and the Three. So, like, I'm sure, like, that is very anticipated, especially within the animation community. So just remember to go and check that out in honor of Tangent. All right, now we can actually get into some good news with our next story, because with the fall of a studio comes the rise to a new one. Where, funny enough, this is actually going to be a brand new Canadian animation studio. And while Toronto and Winnipeg did lose one, Vancouver actually gained another. But they didn't just gain another animation studio, they gained a studio from one of the biggest names in animation. And who I'm talking about is none other than Walt Disney Animation Studios. Yes, Walt Disney Animation Studios has announced that they are going to be opening a brand new studio in Vancouver, British Columbia. Now, you might be thinking, what the fridge is Disney Animation going to be doing in Vancouver? Are they going to be asking for the extra assistance of Canadian animators to go and make their animated films? No, not really. Because actually, do you guys remember back at the end of 2020 when Disney actually made the announcement that they are actually going to do some animated series at Walt Disney Animation Studios? You know, they announced a Baymax series, Zootopia Plus, as well as a series based on Moana, Tiana from The Princess and the Frog, and even an original African-oriented animated series called Iwaju. Now, they have all these plans going on for series, and that is what Disney Animation in Vancouver is going to specialize. They are going to be working on long-form animated series, and the first one they revealed they are going to be working on will be the Moana series. Now, this new studio, by the way, I just want to say right now that they are going to be opening in 2022. And the Moana series, they are planning to go and have that be released on Disney Plus in 2024. And by the way, they actually do have a new leader that is going to be in charge of that studio, which is actually going to be none other than Amir Nasrabadi. And Amir actually did have a lot of experience in terms of leadership in animation, where previously he was actually the executive vice president and general manager of Wild Brain Studios, and he also worked in other places such as Paramount Animation, Illumination, and Pixar Canada, and even had experience working at Walt Disney Animation Studios as the finance lead, where Amir said, and by the way, I'm reading from my source here on Variety, "I am so honored and excited to be joining the Disney family again. I continue to be amazed at the high level of artistry and technical advancements coming out of the animation industry here in Vancouver, and I am so proud to be part of this community. This is really a dream come true for me." We also got a couple of quotes, the first of which is actually going to be coming from the Chief Creative Officer of Walt Disney Animation Studios, Jennifer Lee, in which she states, "Disney Animation is creating more original storytelling for Disney Plus, expanding into series for the first time in our history with Iwaju, Tiana, Moana, Baymax, and Zootopia Plus. As we continue to grow our original slate of projects, there are more creative, artistic, and technological opportunities than any previous time." And finally, there is one quote I would like to read, which it is going to be coming from the president of Walt Disney Animation Studios, Clark Spencer, in which he states, "With Burbank and Vancouver both home to some of the world's most talented artists and technicians, we believe the storytelling and visual quality created within each location will meet the incredibly high standards we set for ourselves and audiences have come to expect from Disney Animation." And that is the big thing, is that Disney Animation is going to be coming to Vancouver. Now, what is actually very interesting to note is that this is not the first time Disney decided to try out animation in Canada, or at least have an expansion in Canada. There was actually two moments, specifically. They were very short-lived, but they did try to establish a studio within the Canadian region. First of all, there was back in the second half of the 1990s, where in 1996, I believe, Disney Animation opened a division in Canada where they would go and specialize to provide extra animation for some of their direct-to-DVD features and some of their non-Disney animated, like the Disney animated films that are not a part of the official Disney animation lineup, stuff like A Goofy Movie and Return to Neverland. But again, that did not actually last long, and I think it was around in 2000 where that division in Toronto ended up shutting down. And then, if we go back a little bit before well, not before what I was talking about, but if we go back just a decade from now, Pixar actually tried to come to Canada, where they opened a Canadian division in Vancouver called Pixar Canada. And they were originally meant to specialize on creating cartoons, or to create extra content that is related to many of their franchises, such as making some Cars cartoons or making some Toy Story cartoons. In fact, I believe a few of them actually did get released, and we have seen a few of those. But unfortunately, again, that studio did not last long, and Pixar Canada quickly shut down, and everything went back to just being in California. And this is not, and by the way, of course, this is not to mention as well all the other divisions Disney tried to do all around the world. We know very well about the animation studio that was in Orlando that ended up creating Lilo and Stitch, Mulan, and Brother Bear. There was also France that was also a major helping hand on many of the later Disney animated features back in the 1990s, like Hunchback and Tarzan. And then there was also Japan at one point, had a division of Disney Animation as well, but then again, like in the early 2000s, and I think also Australia had one as well, but again, all of those unfortunately ended up shutting down, and everything just went back to California. But that is until today, where we see Disney Animation is going to have another shot of trying to come to Canada. And especially with this time where they really want to expand the content that they would go and create, because for the first time ever, Walt Disney Animation Studios is going to try to go and expand onto they're going to expand onto working on some animated shows where they want to go and try to create stuff such as a Moana series and a Baymax series, and even try original content like Iwaju as well. And I'm sure that's going to be like an entire asset where they can't really fit all that in that one studio. And I mean, yeah, Walt Disney Animation Studios is a really, really big studio where it has over like 900 people working at Disney Animation. Yeah, sure. But on the other hand, however, the thing is that even when working on a series, that is like already way too much when they're already trying to go and work on like a whole bunch of movies, a whole bunch of cartoons on the side, and they're already working on some short form series. They even confirmed like the short form series like Zootopia Plus and Baymax, they are just going to stay within Disney Animation in California. So that's why they got to go and expand onto Vancouver. So that's why they got to go and like release it in there. And that's always nice to see a new studio happening, especially one that is as prominent as Disney, which means like, yeah, we did end up losing 400 jobs with the shutdown of Tangent, but now we can actually gain a whole lot more new ones now that Disney is going to be coming to Vancouver with a brand new studio. But one thing that I will say, however, is that when it comes to Disney Animation Vancouver, I wouldn't be surprised if this one as well does not last long, because like I mentioned, like these these expanded studios ended up not lasting long when they would be in Canada. Like when they tried a little bit in Vancouver with Pixar and that didn't really work out, and they tried to expand it with they tried to expand it in Toronto and that didn't really work out. But then again, like it is true, we would have to wait and see, because like technically the job of the Vancouver people is to go and try to create content for Disney Plus. So, it's not really to go and make more movies for Disney Animation. So it is something that we will have to wait and see. But again, based on the history of like what happens when Disney tried to expand onto Canada, it usually does not end well. So that is something that I am bracing myself just in case. We will see, but of course I could be wrong and it could turn out to be very successful and it would be a great new division that Vancouver has just gained. But again, we will have to wait and see. But I would like to comment as well that it is kind of dumb that they would have to go and expand onto Vancouver, because again, if you want to go and really get the best animators, get that top quality animation, you got to come to Montreal. That Disney Animation Studio should be coming to Montreal instead of Vancouver. You want best artists? You want best artists? I give you great best artists. You want great artists? You come to Montreal. You get people. You want the people who made like Assassin's Creed. You want the people who made that new Avengers game. Bring them all. They will come and help you make Disney Animation. They make you great Disney Animation for good price. I don't know why I suddenly decided to bring up that accent, because like I just sound like some kind of like street salesman or something like that. But anyways, yeah, some people, yeah, it's surprising how many people don't know that I live in Montreal. It's kind of surprising, actually. But yeah, overall though, it's nice, like after hearing the news about Tangent Animation, it's nice to hear that there is going to be a new studio that is going to be opening. So it's very, like hopefully I wish Disney the best of luck, and I wish the best of luck to the future animators that are going to be working on the Moana series and more. Okay, so now with that said, it is now time that we will go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about this new studio in Vancouver, or the new Disney Animation Studio in Vancouver? Are you guys excited to see what they have in store? Do you think it's a good idea for Disney Animation to have a new studio? Let me know what you think on this. Let's see what we got here. I honestly have my doubts about the longevity of Disney Animation Canada. I don't doubt the animation content. I'm sure it will be amazing with the series, but I get the feeling that it will go to the way of Pixar Canada. My girlfriend has talked about how Pixar Canada actually has lost media with the Cars short to Protect and Serve. I hope TV projects don't end up in that position. That Cars short was actually fully recorded, and far along that was there was a storybook that has screenshots. That is interesting. I will say that is actually pretty fascinating. And yeah, I guess like ultimately the longevity of this new studio will highly depend on how successful the TV shows are going to be on Disney Plus. Like if this expansion of working on making like short form series and long form series, if that actually works out well on Disney Plus and they do provide great content and it's like getting a lot of ratings for Disney, then it's going to go very well for Vancouver. If not, and then I can imagine if Disney backs away from making like these TV shows and stuff like that, then that would also mean shutting down that studio. Let's see. Mickey Mouse taking a trip to Vancouver that the 2010 Mario and Sonic Winter Games took place. When you put it that way, it opens up to a lot of strange possibilities. But otherwise, I'm still impressed. Disney is really making up for shutting down Blue Sky earlier this year and really making a replacement per se. I'm honestly very interested to see how the cards play with another Disney Canadian studio. I hope it all works out. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to replace or make things up for the shutdown of Blue Sky, because that's honestly like a massive can of worms that I'm not ready to open right over here. Like I've already opened enough can of worms from before, so I don't know if I would open this one. But no, it's nice to see that at least like this is opening new opportunities and it will be opening new jobs. Let's see what else we have here. This is one of the most anticipated things that Disney Animation has ever done. To everyone that is going to work at Disney Animation in Vancouver, I wish you guys the best of luck for what you guys are going to do. Yes, Burbank Studio is pretty large, but not enough space for a long-form series like Moana. As long as those shows succeed, it could last long. I'm glad I have friends who are working at Disney Animation in Burbank. All right, that's very nice. Let's see. A Walt Disney Company in Canada. I'm pretty surprised that they're having one in Vancouver. The series I'm actually looking forward to is Baymax, Tiana, Zootopia Plus, and many more. And about the Moana series, it's long before it's going to be released in 2024. I hope the company in Canada does well and doesn't shut down like the others. What series are you looking forward to the most, AniMat, if you're up to it? Oh, a nice accent. Thank you. I didn't know the accent would be great. But honestly, one that I love Zootopia. Like I said, I've already considered it the best animated film of the last decade. So the Zootopia Plus series I'm definitely hyped up for. That and Tiana. Honestly, I'm very curious to see that. And also Iwaju, because not many people are going to talk about Iwaju, but that is going to be a new original series that Disney will have in store. And I'm very curious to see what they have with that one. Let's see what else we got here. I can see that it has potential, although Disney expanded their studio and then later closed it down. I can see why they want to open up in Vancouver. It would be awesome how this goes. If this does well, then maybe they will be making more movies for the main studio. Also, you nailed that French accent. That is not French accent, guys. That is not French. The French accent is more something like this. Well, at least this is more Parisian French. And then there is also the Quebecois French that is a little bit more like this. I think what I was doing before, I think it was like a combination of Italian and Persian. I don't even know what accent I was doing. It's one of those rare moments where I'm getting high praise over something, and yet I don't even know what I was doing. Okay, I'll read one more comment before we move on to the grand finale of things. Let's see, what else do we have here? What else do we have? Do we have any other comments? Oh, okay, yeah, this one, okay. This does certainly catch my attention. It is true that Disney's previous attempts to establish an animation studio in Canada did not last long, but who knows? This may last a lot longer than the original two, especially since this one will work on some major projects. If it doesn't last long, Disney will probably quote Rex from Toy Story 2. Oh well, we tried. Yeah, that's what Disney usually does. I mean, especially in 2000s, like I think that's like Michael Eisner's biggest quote, other than hello, I'm Michael Eisner, you know. That's what he said every time in the year 2000, like during the last 5 years of his career as CEO of Disney. Like every time he tries to do a thing, a studio shut down. Oh well, we tried. Disney California Adventure. Oh well, we tried. Tried to do Circle 7? Oh, we tried. The relationship with Pixar? Oh well, we tried. Oh my god. I'm sure Michael, I think that's Disney's attitude for like a lot of things. And now it is time that we shall jump onto the grand finale. And what a fascinating grand finale that we have for you today. Because this one is a major deal. Like a full-on life-changing deal or a history-making deal. Because usually these would be the kind of things that we would see normally happen with major studios. But this is not a case about a major studio. This is only about one franchise. This is only about one franchise, and maybe some people might forget, but this is actually regarding what is the biggest animated franchise of all time. And what I'm talking about is, of course, South Park. Yes, Viacom CBS, or more specifically MTV Entertainment Studios, has made a deal with the creators of South Park, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, to go and expand South Park in ways that you could not even imagine. Technically, this would actually be a 6-year deal, where not only did they agree to go and give South Park a lot more seasons, where now they are going to be up to season 30, and South Park will be lasting long up to 2027, and that's just for now. But also, Trey Parker and Matt Stone agreed on 14 South Park movies that will be on Paramount Plus. 14 godforsaken movies. And keep in mind, we've only had one movie so far. We've had several games, but in terms of feature films, they've only had that one back in 1999. And that was pretty much it. Was it 1999? I think it was 1999. Yeah, but anyways, you get what I mean. The thing is here, now, this does sound like it's going to be a lot of work to go and make more South Park episodes, a lot more South Park episodes, and especially 14 movies happening at the same time. But don't you worry, Trey Parker and Matt Stone are well paid on this. In fact, this deal, for those crazy 6 years, they will last a grand total, I kid you not, of $900 million. Yes, Trey Parker and Matt Stone got $900 million for that massive South Park deal. But wait, there is more. There is a lot more to get into. Reading from my source here on Variety, it also states, that's an eye-popping number that includes the license fees for 14 movies and 3 additional 10-episode seasons of the South Park series, produced through the pair's Park County banner. It is understood that the deal calls for Viacom CBS to advance Parker and Stone's $150 million a year to cover their fees for the upcoming productions, as well as their ongoing profit participation stakes for the franchise, which now, this entire deal is actually worth more than $1 billion. And the article does state that technically they don't necessarily have to be South Park movies per se, like in terms of those 14 movies, but you could pretty much guarantee that in terms of those like in the next 6 years, expect 14 movies that will be from Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And we do have a couple of quotes that I would like to read here. The first of which is actually going to be from Chris McCarthy, the president and CEO of MTV Entertainment and the chief content officer of adult animation for Paramount Plus, as which Chris states, Matt and Trey are world-class creatives who brilliantly use their outrageous humor to skewer the absurdities of our culture, as we are excited to expand and deepen our long relationship with them to help fuel Paramount Plus and Comedy Central. Franchising marquee content like South Park and developing new IP with tremendous talent like Matt and Trey is at the heart of our strategy to continue growing Paramount Plus. We even got a quote here from Trey Parker and Matt Stone as well, as which they state here. Comedy Central has been our home for 25 years, and we're really happy that we've made a commitment to us. They've made a commitment to us for the next 75 years. When we came to Viacom CBS with a different way to produce the show during the pandemic, Chris McCarthy, Nina Diaz, Kays Hill Edgar, and Tanya Gills were immediately supportive and enabled us to try something new that turned out to be really well received. We can't wait to get back to doing traditional South Park episodes, but now we can also try our new formats. It's great to have partners who will always take the chance with us. So that's pretty much the big thing with this, is that now there is a new South Park deal that is valued at $900 million, and that Trey Parker and Matt Stone are getting more than $1 billion. And I think, honestly, this very much highlights the value of South Park. Like, honestly, this might be something from time to time. Admittedly, I kind of forget about it, but it is true how South Park has reached to the levels that it is one of the biggest animated series of all times. Like, and even like one of the biggest cartoons of all times, where characters like Kenny, Eric, Kyle, and there's a fourth one. I'm sorry, it's been such a long time since I've seen South Park. But hold on, Kyle, Kenny. Hold on, Eric, Cartman. Oh, Cartman. There we go, Cartman. Eric Cartman is the name. Stan, thank you guys. Sorry about that. Yes, sorry that I had that brain fart. But yeah, Cartman, Stan, Kyle, and Kenny, that they are as much cartoon icons as much as Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. And that they are like some of the biggest and like most popular and most important animated shows, right up there with like The Simpsons, The Flintstones, Family Guy, and SpongeBob, and many others. They really are that big. And I don't know if there is one that was bigger, but this is honestly the biggest deal for an animated franchise in history. Like, even bigger than the one that happened before with the whole, like, bidding war on South Park. Like, you gotta keep in mind, like, you probably remember how HBO Max ended up winning the bid in order to have South Park appear on HBO Max. And that was a deal that was worth $500 million. Like, $500 million, that is still extremely massive just for one show to be on a streaming service. That is absolutely insane. And I don't know if it's going to be, I don't know if it would permanently be on HBO Max, or there might be a license that they might have to renew, because honestly, it would not surprise me that, like, once the whole thing expires, Viacom CBS is just going to take South Park and immediately put it onto Paramount Plus. But anyways, as I was saying, like, that is still small that is like just over half of this new deal that we actually got here, that really, for Viacom CBS, that is the biggest show that they have. It is South Park, and that they are showing devotion to really go and expand it, like, massively, and not even expand. And it's interesting because like they're not even expanding it in the way that they also did with SpongeBob, where like with SpongeBob, let's be honest, Viacom CBS, they went absolutely insane with it, where like now there's going to be like, now we actually got not one but several spin-off shows with both the Patrick Star Show and with Camp Coral, and not to mention we got like all the different movies that already popped out. Like, yeah, they went like wildfire with that one, but admittedly with the way that they handled South Park, they're actually a little bit more strategic with it. You know, they try to expand it, but they're expanding it gradually. They didn't go crazy with like, yo, let's make all these different spin-offs, let's go and make all these different movies and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, nowadays they're gonna go crazy with the movies, but still though, they were pretty strategic with it. It's only right now, like, yeah, with the movies, the biggest excuse is because of Paramount Plus. And I can imagine that, like, I think I understand, like, yeah, most of them would probably be South Park. Like, this was honestly something that I just thought about right now, because those movies are going to be meant as a way to try to, try not redeem per se, but there's a word that, to not compensate, but what is it? You know, they want to make things up for the fact that they don't have South Park. You know, that Paramount Plus that is owned by Viacom CBS, ironically enough, doesn't have South Park. So maybe with those movies, they'll be able to go and you know, try to make things up for the fact that South Park is not on Paramount Plus, and they'll have a way around that by producing all these different movies. So yeah, you could actually see Cartman, Kenny, Stan, and Kyle, and the rest of the gang, that they'll all be, you know, that they will be on Paramount Plus in some way, shape, or form. So like, I could definitely understand the point of it and the strategy to really like expand, you know, not just expand South Park as a franchise, but, you know, to really go and like find a modern way to really take advantage of having South Park, you know, for Viacom CBS to probably display that they do have South Park. And I can imagine with Trey Parker and Matt Stone, yeah, they're going to be busy on it, but then again, you cannot say that they're not well rewarded for that, because yeah, they're pretty much getting over $1 billion on top of like the millions upon millions of dollars that they're already getting, like even being paid more than some of the biggest CEOs out there. Like is it official at the point where now Trey Parker and Matt Stone are like billionaires? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but still, it's just an absolutely insane deal that we are seeing, all and it's all for just one franchise that they're doing. Like, it's not Trey Parker and Matt Stone like working on several franchises, you know? They're not like Seth MacFarlane that's like working on stuff like Family Guy and American Dad and maybe a few other projects on the side, or even like Matt Groening, where like he had Futurama, but he also has Simpsons, he has Disenchantment, and all those different shows. But with Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they just did one thing, and it's all for one franchise, and that is enough to really make them billionaires and to really make them entertainment icons. It's just absolutely crazy. So overall though, I will say, like, for South Park fans, of course this is going to be great news, because this means more South Park, and they don't have to worry about it suddenly being canceled and stuff like that, because like for now they're good up until 2027. So for the next 6 years, of course, we are going to see more crazy adventures with those characters, and like going to be one of the very rare shows in the world where they're going to surpass season 30, but also with additional content such as new movies as well. Yeah, they're going to be busy, but I'm sure it's all going to be worth it, especially when getting $900 million. All right, so with that said and done, though, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about this new deal that Trey Parker and Matt Stone got, especially with the expansion of South Park? Are you guys excited for more South Park? Do you think it might be a little bit too much? How do you feel about more South Park movies? Let me know what you think on this. Let's see. I'm a huge sucker for South Park, whether it be the show, the movie, or the recent games, so this deal is pretty much a South Park fan's dream. Hell, I've had a ton of ideas for a potential second movie, like maybe focus on the town being seconds away from destruction, and the only hope being Cartman of all people. But overall, I'm extremely psyched for these. Now, if you excuse me, there's a weird body bag in here. I gotta say, oh, good heavens! They have smite our dear colleague Kenneth! Those unforgivable bastards! Alright, let's see now. South Park has always been one of my favorite shows of all time. Sure, they can go for as long as they want, but 14 movies, that's a big deal. What the hell would they do with these movies? A Butters movie? A Kenny movie? All the possibilities are endless. God, I love South Park. Oh, absolutely. I think, honestly, in the case of the movies, if all those 14 films are all South Park, I can imagine those are going to be like spin-off films. In fact, like, oh God, imagine there's going to be the SPCU, the South Park Cinematic Universe, and they're all going to be focused on like different prominent characters. Like you'll have a Kenny movie, you'll have, oh my God, like honestly, one that I would love to see the most would be Mr. Hat. Like, not the teacher, just Mr. Hat. Just give him his own movie and then we could go from there. Or, no. Amazingly enough, no. We need to have our Terrence and Phillip movie. Like, no. Not the movie that's in South Park, the movie. I mean, literally just a freaking Terrence and Phillip movie. That would be an amazing idea. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, I had another brain fart and I forgot the name of the teacher with Mr. Hat, but it's Mr. Garrison. Yeah. Like Mr. Hat. Like, yeah, have a Mr. Hat movie, but you can have Mr. Garrison as like a side character. Let's see now. Wowzers, as someone of a South Park fan myself, I am extremely excited to see that we are getting much more South Park episodes and especially more than a dozen movies. I have seen some people being pretty shocked about how we are getting so many movies through 2021 and 2027, but I am not that shocked, honestly. Almost every South Park episode is made in 6 days, so making 14 movies in 6 years doesn't seem that crazy. You consider me hyped as heck. Well, yeah, that is actually true, but then again, there is that extra layer that Trey Parker and Matt Stone and the team at I was about to say the team at South Park, but the team at Park County, they got to, they still got to do a lot of work. It's like they got to do those episodes and make them in 6 days, but they also got to do those movies at the same time. So it's like one project on top of another. So that's where like the extra hard work is going to be. Let's see what else we got here. I remember South Park, but I don't watch it as much because of the way that they are making fun of religion and other countries and killing Kenny so many times. I'm not sure about the deal with South Park and Viacom. Also, someone in the chat earlier said that Trey Parker and Matt Stone were wearing dresses at the Oscars, but I'm not sure which annual Oscars it is. Oh, and which South Park character impression would you rather do? Well, honestly, if there is one Oscars that they were at, it was probably the one where they were not, I forgot if they actually won. No, did they win for Blame Canada? I'm trying, like, I remember they were nominated for it, but did they actually win for it? But anyways, yeah, I think it was probably for that Oscars where they were wearing a dress. Oh, no, they did not. Okay. No, they did not, sadly. That went to Phil Collins. Oh, of freaking course, because, of course, Phil Collins. Yeah, for Tarzan, of course. Okay. I think I'll read one more comment before we go and cap this off. I never realized South Park has become this big in terms of the deal with Viacom CBS has made over with Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I followed South Park in a long time. I haven't followed South Park in a long time, and still better than recent Oh, you did follow. Okay, never mind. I followed South Park a long time, and still better than recent seasons of Family Guy and The Simpsons, since the writing is still good in recent seasons and TV specials, and I would be up for another 6 years of South Park shows and movies. Good luck to everyone that makes more South Park episodes to come. Yeah, that's definitely a nice note that we could cap on. And with that said, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And what a wild ride we have been. A crazy episode, but whew, I think we definitely put off enough steam right over there. So I just would like to say thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all so much for listening. And I will say, hopefully with next episode, we could still keep the craziness on, just like how we did in this episode. So with all that said and done, thank you all so much for watching again. Thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, see you later, dudes.